So I was thinking recently about how science fiction, the characters that I see, can affect my perception of how I view God. And I'm trying to be very careful with the wording here. And what positive aspects of these fictional characters have I projected onto God? There's only two I want to name, and I want this video to be short, just a little observation I've made. Excuse me. And the first one. A little background first. I don't want to go out of order. My family went to church. We were Christians. There's a big difference between those two. But I had given my life to Christ, but shortly after, we stopped going to church. We tried to keep up our spirituality, tried to keep up our religion, not necessarily our relationship with God, but we tried to do what we thought was right for quite a while. And I, growing up as a little kid, didn't have much. I lived in a trailer. An awful lot of things were not given to me. And I just figured might as well not ask because nobody has it and I don't want to bother them. So that's the mentality, that's the mindset that I got into. And because of that, things were hard for me. I didn't really have any concrete faith. That is until my God changed my life. I was able to, and it was only I think about a week and a half when this happened. God opened up a chance for me to get almost a completely full ride to Dallas Baptist University. I'll go into it maybe in another video, but my life changed. I started going to church again. I had been with my grandparents, but I found a church which was more catering to my needs. And because of that, I realized that in those years of absence in my childhood, I projected certain things onto God, which aren't necessarily bad things to project onto Him, and aren't necessarily limiting things, but I did use in such a way to where I would generalize characteristics about God through the characters I was seeing on TV. And two of them come to mind. The first one is the Doctor from Doctor Who. I started watching Doctor Who in 4th grade. Oh man, I loved Doctor Who. I really love Doctor Who. Super excited for the new season. But the character of the Doctor, I always saw, when I was especially little, I always saw him as a character who could do anything. The only limit he had was himself. Well, that's very true of many different characters who are in the superhero label. The Doctor just felt different. He felt like he could do anything in the whole world. But he held himself back. And I always felt like God's power and the comfort that one derives from his power was the same kind of comfort I got when I was watching Doctor Who and I heard Rose or Martha or Donna back from the Russell T Davies era, when he would say, "Oh, I know we're going to be all right because the doctor's looking after me. He will save us." Whenever they would say that. And the doctor's character is a lot more complex than that, and an awful lot less all-powerful and saviory than that. But that is what I projected onto God. And acknowledging God's power is good. But there is a dualism between God's power and God's love that people can't seem to grasp. Because whenever we in this earth are, whenever we on this earth are trying to see the characteristics of God, an awful lot of the time we put him into human standards, and therefore we cannot believe that it is possible for someone to have unlimited power and unlimited love at the same time. Many people think, oh, God isn't doing anything because he doesn't have the power, but I know he loves me. Or, God has the power, he just doesn't love me. But it's neither of those. It's God has the power, and he loves you, and he is helping you, but you just can't see it. And you have to believe. And that's what faith is. Faith is putting your trust in the worth of what you know to be true about God. And the love of God I've seen within the character in a TV show. I'm not limiting the love of God. I hope you know that. But for me, the first inkling of what that was I love Star Trek. I really do. And the love of a father, that never really rang true for me because my father didn't really do an awful lot. Well, not do an awful lot. He did a lot. I'm not saying it was good. But I've forgiven him now, but he did some things which heavily distanced us. I don't have a good relationship with him. And therefore, the metaphor of God being a good father, it always fell flat for me. I was able to glimpse into what that was when I looked into the character of Benjamin Sisko from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The Visitor, Season 4 episode, is my favorite episode of Deep Space Nine just because it shows the love that Ben Sisko has for his son, Jake. And I just can't get over it. It's just amazing. And because of that, I would say whenever I think about having kids myself, I always think, if I have kids, I'm going to make sure that they know I love them, at least like how Ben Sisko loves Jake. That is the goal post for me right now. That's what I can see. And I haven't seen all of the series, so I don't know how it goes, but I'm working on that. And I just think that it is so beautiful, the relationship between those two. And I can just see, like, after I've sinned, and I don't want to turn to God because I know I'll feel ashamed, and it just feels like he's going to reject me. And I know it's silly, but I hear in Avery Brooks's voice, I hear, none of that matters. You're with me. I don't care what you've done. It hurts. And yes, it was terrible. But you are my son. The story of the prodigal son. All of that. I can feel that in the relationship between Jake Sisko and his father, Ben. And I love it. I love it so much. Yet again, disclaimer. I'm not saying that the Doctor is God. I'm not saying that Ben Sisko is God. I'm saying these are positive aspects which I have gleaned, positive aspects which I've gleaned from the shows that I watched and projecting them onto God. I am reading scripture and I am seeing this in His Word, but it's nice to have a reference point. And our cultures are so different. The one which was in the Old Testament and the New Testament is such a different culture than what we've got in America. And I'm trying to find things that I can relate so I can sort of have a rough concept in my head, even if I don't understand it all the way, because nobody can, of God's love and God's power. And those are two of the things I do. I hope you have found this video, thought-provoking. I hope maybe it helped you. I don't know. If it didn't, that's okay. I'm just making this for myself to look back on in a few years from now to see how far I've come. But thank you so much for watching. I know this is different from what I usually do, but I just figured I might as well insert a bit of faith into my channel and show a bit more about myself. So, thank you so much for watching.